Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to make a force for SPQR using an abacus. Okay, so what's this? This is an abacus. This is actually a Chinese abacus, but we'll forget about that. Now, I was going through my local St. Vincent de Paul. St. Vincent de Paul is a charity here in Australia. It's actually a fantastic charity, and it's one that I actually volunteer for. So, if you do see a St. Vincent de Paul, they are extremely good, and there's all sorts of nice stuff in there. This was $4. Yeah, it's one of these second-hand shops, but they do a lot of good work for the community. So I thought I'd give them a little bit of a plug there. Just not asked to or anything. It's just a nice plug for this good charity. So this is an abacus, right? It's a Chinese abacus, and the way it works is this is a ones. These beads here count as 1, and these beads here count as 2. Any bead in the up position is active, anyone down is inactive. So that's essentially how an abacus works. So if I wanted to do the number 4, I would simply push 4. If I wanted to do the number 452, 4, 5, 2, 452. So that's how a Chinese abacus works. So what I'm going to do is, okay, that was I was going to try and stretch that into a 15-minute video. I didn't even attempt that because I would like to have a little fun with this abacus. I'm going to put a lid on my pen so I don't ruin my abacus. Actually, no, I'll get a paintbrush. There we go. Oh, that's why you check out the channel, folks. Nice and prepared. So I've got here a whole bunch of stuff for a Briton army and a Roman army for SPQR, which is a skirmish war game just put out by Warlord Games. And I'm going to make up 2 warbands for SPQR of, I think they use 500 denarii as a starting thing. I could probably do 2,000 denarii. So let's just see how high the Gauls can get. The Britons can get. And we'll match it with the Romans, because the Romans are much easier to get their costs up. So let's get started. Okay, so before we start, just one sort of caveat. I painted these miniatures about 4 years ago, so they're not fantastic. And also, these have just recently been rebased. I had them based for Impetus, for basic Impetus. Now they're rebased for SPQR, so on 25 mils, and some of them have been damaged slightly in the 3 or 4 years, and just in the rebasing process. Some of them are damaged. Some of them are also new. So yeah, now that I've covered myself, let's look at people who haven't covered themselves. Okay, so let's start with 7 naked Gauls. Britons. These can be Gauls, Britons, Germans. I'm going to go with Britons for the first because it's Britons and Imperial Romans they work quite well. I'm also a big fan of the Simon Scarrow books. They started out as the Eagles books, but then they sort of turned into they lost the sort of title. So Eagles in the Sand, Eagles of the they're very, very good books. I'll put a picture of some of the covers on the screen. They're fantastic. They're also available in audiobook form. Simon Scarrow is that author, and his first 3 books take place during the Claudius's invasion of Britain. So let's start. That's where the armies can be based, although slightly later because everyone's in Lorica Segmentata. So, okay, so what these guys are skyclad warriors. Now, skyclad means naked. And what it does is it gives them a +1 bonus to melee checks, so it's nice. The only problem is they cannot take any extra weaponry. Ignore the helmets. The shields do count. I believe the shields actually, yes, they actually come stock standard with a shield. You can't remove that. So I suppose that head is sort of a shield, and that helmet can proxy as a shield. So I don't know. Well, the less said about this gentleman, what he's using for a shield, the better. But so let's have a look at these guys. So we've got 7 here, and so we'll put 5, 6, 7 on the abacus. And then what have we got? So there's 7 of them, and they cost 8 denarii each. So that's 5, 6, 7, 8. I'll leave this one blank. I'm not sure exactly what the form is here, but that's what we'll do. Okay, so this might not be the exact form to do it, but this is a way to do it. That I'm using some of my mathematical knowledge to go with. So in this case, imagine a multiplication symbol here. So we have 5, 6, 7 plus 5, 6, 7, 8. So multiplication, so times. This one's relatively easy because you don't actually use an abacus for this. 7 8s are 56. So that's 55, 1. So 7 times 8 equals 56. It will get more interesting than this, please. Please stay with me. Stay with me, folks, while I just write this quickly down so I don't forget. Okay, so that is 7 Skycap Warriors, 56 points. So we'll keep that under our hats. And the real magic of the Abacus will come in later. So I'll just pop those at the back for now. And let's move on to the next one, the actual hero himself. Now I'm going to go with a method here of 1 hero per every 500 points in the army. And the first hero I'm going to have is a new miniature I've just picked up, actually, because I didn't have a lot of barbarian heroes, because for Basic Impetus is it's a based game, so it's based on unit bases, not individual characters, and I'm not a fan of sticking command models in units. So here he is. This is it's just a cavalry model that I've stuck the metal command figure that comes with the Briton force in, bent the cloak up a little bit. It's nothing special. So this will be a hero on a horse with a sword, mail armor, and I suppose a cloak doesn't matter, does it? So let's reset the Abacus. So down is the reset position. I originally had thought that would have been a reset position, as in the top row up, bottom row down, but it does make more sense to have the both rows down. That's the proper way it's done anyway. So a hero costs 45 denarii. So we go 4 and 5, 45. I do hope this comes out on camera. So 45 plus, just imagine, again, I don't know how to differentiate a plus symbol, but we'll say plus there. A mail shirt, which is 15 denarii. So a mail shirt, which is 15 denarii, which is 1, 5, plus a helmet, which is 2 denarii. So again, plus 1, 2. I hope nothing costs 10, because it's going to mess it up a little bit. Not a short spear, not a dagger, not an axe, not a great axe. A sword. So 2 denarii plus 5 denarii for a sword. And a horse is 30 denarii. 5, 1. Okay, so this again is all these zeros are pluses. 3, and I'll put both of those up there. No, that means 10. Okay, the way I'm going to differentiate a 0 on this thing is to simply put all markers at the top. That way we know it's a these here are multiplication tables. These here are operational tables. Like I'm screwing that up. Okay, so here is our a Briton hero on a horse with mail, a helmet, a sword, all in a package there. See, I'll have to actually go back and clip through. This again is a new one, a new miniature, so I'm going to have to go back through and paint him up. But most of the rest of the army is actually painted. So we have our 4, 5, 45 for the original cost of the hero. These reset columns here mean plus. Okay, so here's the Abacus set up for a Celtic hero with a helmet, a sword, mail armor, riding a horse. So we have the 45 for our Celtic hero, and that is represented by 4 beads up here and a single 5 bead up here. The blank column here means plus for this case. Then a single bead up designates a 1, and a single bead up here designates a 5, because they're next to each other without a separating column. 15 plus, so 45 plus 15 plus 2, and then a blank column, the 2 there being for the helmet. Another plus. 5 blank column plus 30. Again, I put both of those up to just designate a 0. So let's go through and work out this. This is actually quite a good way of keeping track of things if you don't have a pen. So let's add this up. So 45 plus 15 is obviously 60. So we'll reset that. 45 plus 15 is 60. 5, 1, 00. 60 plus 2 is, of course, 62. So we have 60, put those back down, and we'll put 2 up. Again, this is the first time I've ever doing this, so please do bear with me. 62 plus 5, so all we do here is we simply put a 5. It's actually quite intuitive, the way that this is set out. So 65 plus 30. So all we do here is we pop 3 of those up. And there we go. That is how you add on an abacus in the LSR system. It's probably the right way to do it. I looked at a few things on YouTube before I went at this, but this is the most intuitive way that I can sort of come up with to do it. So it's a method I'm going to work with, and it seems to be working quite well. So we have our hero. We have all the points values. I'm sorry if I got confusing. It'll get easier as we go on. So we have here 4, 5 is 9, plus 2 plus 5 is 7. 7, yep, double check. So we have a 97 point hero. So let's just double check that with the calculator. We take 45 and we add 15, we get 60. Plus 2 is 62. Plus 5 is 67. Plus 30 is 97. And we have come up with a 97 point hero. This is literally the first time I'm ever doing anything with this abacus is on camera. And that was extremely easy. And now that I know exactly what I'm doing, I think it's going to be much, much better as we move forward. So we'll pop our hero back there. We'll have to give him a name. Now, hero can't just, well, a hero can just go around by himself. You can actually have a whole warband of heroes. I'm not going to do that. So let's give him some cavalry escorts. Again, excuse the lack of painting. It's and the of course damage, because it was actually quite rare. I managed to get most of them off in one piece, but every now and then something gave way. I do have all the pieces lying around, so they can all be, of course, rebuilt. And you get a metric ton of spare parts with these things. Okay, so here we have 11 horsemen. The reason there's 11, not 12, is because one of them has a banner, and I don't like banners being on the table at in such small skirmish games. I don't mind the rules for them. It's just the miniatures themselves sort of irk me. So we'll just nominate this guy to be a banner bearer if it ever comes up. So a cavalryman is armed with a horse, obviously, a short spear, and a small shield. So these guys here have sort of large shields, but they count small shields in the game. So let's go through the options. 2 javelins per horseman for 2 denarii each. I don't think I'll go with javelins for them, purely because they don't have javelins. Leather armor. Leather armor's not really a thing, but I assume leather armor means things like a Greek cuirass or something, which was real Greek. They did have linen and leather cuirasses, but that's obviously not these guys. These guys are literally in clothes or nothing, so no leather armor. Helmets. There's a single over the helmet. That's not enough to say the whole unit. Swords. So swords are 3 denarii each. So this is the reset column here, means addition. So I'll pop 3 beads up for 3 denarii for the swords. Okay, so I've done this one beforehand just because it's easier. So here I have 11 cavalrymen. This guy here was going to be a hornblower, but we'll get to him. And the only difference I've given these cavalrymen is swords. Again, apologies, some of these aren't painted. Some of these need some touch-ups. These are quite old miniatures, and they have just been through the rebasing process. So we look at our abacus here. We have 2 up and then 2 up, which designates a 20. 2, and then this is our designation for 0. A blank column, which in this case means addition because we're adding things up. And then 3 up, followed by another blank column, which indicates a 3. So we have a cavalry model which costs 2 and 3, 23 points. So we'll plug our 23 over here. We'll do a reset first. Okay, so we're going to do multiplication with the abacus. And to do that, I'll make the number 0, 0, 0, just so that we know what we're working with. Now, the way our multiplication works is we take this column here, multiply it by this column here, then we take this column here, multiply it by this column here, because of course that will give us a hundreds and a tens, and not a ones because we're multiplying by a factor of 10. So, not by a factor, we're multiplying the tens column, you know what I mean. So 2 times 1 is 2, so we'll pop 2 of those up there, pop those down. 2 times 1 is also 2 again. You can check the math as we go along. Then we go 3 times 1 is 3 times 1 is 3. 3 plus 2 is 5, so we'll take that down and we'll put 1 up. 3 times 1 is 3, so we'll take those down and we'll put 3 up there. So we get 253. So let's check that with a calculator. And would you know it, it is indeed 253 points for 11 horsemen with with swords. So our abacus once again has struck us good, and oh, excuse that, that's just the keyboard going all over the place. So we have horsemen, 253 points. So let's move on to the main attraction, the infantry. And let's see how many infantry we can fit into this SPQR list. Okay, so welcome back. I've divided my warriors into 4 groups. Those with swords and shields, those with helmets and shields, okay, so every Briton warrior comes with a shield, so I'll have to pick some extra shields up and obviously stick them on. The Warlord kit doesn't actually come with enough shields to give everyone a shield, because it doesn't matter in Hail Caesar or any of them. So if you buy the starter set for SPQR, they actually send you some extra shields to make up for the lack of shields. So I have here 24, 8 times 3 is 24, warriors who are just basically bare bones. So please forgive the clicking. I will go back to the SPQR rulebook, of course available in PDF and hardback form. Hardback or paperback, I'm not sure, but you can get a physical copy as well. So a Briton warrior comes with a large shield and a short spear. These of course have swords as well, so I'll give them swords. So let me just reset my Abacus here, because of course that's the whole point of the video, is the Abacus. Oh, this is actually the microphone cord, so forgive me. So a warrior costs 8 denarii, which is 5, 6, 7, 8. It's 8 points per warrior, and we're going to give them all swords. Of course, they don't all have spears. We'll give them swords. So swords are 3 denarii each. So in this case, the blank line will mean addition 3. So here we just add 8 plus 3. 8 plus 3 is of course. So we add our 8 points for the. So we add 8 points for a base warrior. Of course, 5 and 3 make 8. And 3 points more for a sword. 8 and 3 is of course 11, so 1 and 1. And that gives us our starting point for a Briton warrior. So we'll add that in over here. So we have our Briton warriors costing 11 points each. Now, I have 24 of them. This guy here actually has a helmet. I actually have 23 without helmets, so I threw him in as a sort of unit champion. So it's just to round the number out to make it a nicer thing to look at, of course, once it's all based. So we have 11 times 24. 24. In this case, this means multiplication. So again, we'll set up our 1, 2, 3. If you were going to go bigger, you could of course do that, but in this case, just 3. These look like little black olives you get on pizzas, don't they? They're making me hungry. Now we're going to add 24, 2, and 4. So we're going to multiply 11 by 24 to give us our cost for the unit. So 1 and 2 is of course 2. 1 and 4 is of course 4. Mono means 1, and rail means rail, for those of you who are Simpsons fans. 1 times 2 is 2, so we'll take down 3 and put 1 up. So in this case we are literally just adding 2 to this by simply removing 3 and putting 1 up. And 1 times 4 is of course 4. So I guarantee that if you took 24 times it by 11, you would end up with 264. So let's just double check that. And would you look at that? It does seem that the ancients were right, and that this abacus is in fact an accurate way to add numbers together, and in this case multiplication. It's actually quite interesting. I had no idea it would be this easy. So we have Britons with shields and short spears wearing helmets. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times 2 is 16. So that we have 16 of them. Of course, 1, 5, 1 gives us 6. Blank column in this case means addition, since we're working out the cost per man. Now these are warriors, which cost 8 denarii each. So so before we get ahead of ourselves, let's work out the cost per man. So a British warrior costs 8 denarii each. So 8 denarii plus, because of course we're working out the cost per man. We do not need any javelins, nor leather armor, nor mail shirts. We do need helmets, which are 2 points each. They come based with short spears. So we simply add 8 and 2, and of course 8 and 2 gives us 10. I did say before I was trying to get some interesting numbers. The next one will be interesting. I guarantee you there will be. Once we get to the Romans, it's going to get very interesting. So we have a cost of something to keep in mind as I build these units is that all my miniatures were again built for rank and file type games. So I'm not trying to min-max stuff. The unit sizes are completely arbitrary that I've come up with. And of course, the fact that not everyone in the unit is armed with the exact same weapon. Number one, we're talking about barbarians here. But number two, it's because these are miniatures I'm adapting for SPQR. If I was actually going to sit down and build a proper SPQR warband of barbarians, the OCD in me would actually be make them a lot more uniform, which I think would take away from their barbarianness. So let's move on to our sort of noblemen. Just as I get these out, do keep in mind I have no actual idea what swords do in a game. I have no idea what swords do in SPQR. I assume they're the sort of standard thing, especially since Romans are armed with the swords. But so I'm not trying to min-max. Oh no, there's 10 of these. So I'm not trying to min-max my units here. I'm genuinely just using what I have and putting it together. So we won't do the multiplication because anything times 10 is just going to be 10 times larger than it was before, which was adding a 0 to the end. So let's have a look. So there are no entries for nobles, so these are just warriors, which cost 8 points each. So 3 and 1 is 8. Plus, we're going to give them all the toys. So we're going to give them 3 javelins per man, which is 6 points. 2 points per javelin. Plus mail shirts, which are a whole 12 denarii. Wow. Oops, sorry. 1 and then 2 there, because of course that is our addition sign. Addition sign again, we're going to give them helmets, which is 2 denarii. Addition sign, and then we're going to give them swords, which are 3 denarii. And well, we just have enough room left. Look at that. It's like the ancient Chinese were specifically developing their abacus for this one YouTube video. I do feel completely honored by them. So, this is going to be fun. We'll add them up as we go along, and this will just be a final column. So you actually add up as you move down the abacus. So it's not actually perfect. We could have another thing here if I wanted to add in say if I wanted to give them all. We can't actually give them anything else, but say if I wanted to add leather armor to them there, I could actually just put a 5 there and then that'll work. But we're not going to do that. So we have 5 and 3 is 8. Go away, get out of there. 5 and 3. So it's 8 plus 1 and 5 is 6. So 8 and 6 is 14. So we'll simply add 1 there and 4 there. So now we have 14 plus 1 and 2 is 12. 14 and 12 is 26. So 26 plus 2 is 28. No. Yes, 28. What am I doing here? Yes, 28. Of course, I'm 28. And then we have 3 more. So 28 and 3. Pop 1 up there. 28 and 3 is 31. So these guys cost a whopping 31 points per man, which gives us 310 points worth of quote-unquote nobles. This shows you how expensive friggin' Romans are. If there's no real difference between Romans and these guys, other than Romans don't have javelins, they have pila. So yeah, you can see these guys can get quite expensive. So I said before, 1 hero per 500 points. That's a maximum limit. I might I'm going to fill that up, but I'd be also quite happy going under that. That's a totally arbitrary limit that I am putting on myself, just so I can get as many minis on the table, because it looks cool to have heaps of minis all over the table, and I want to take this skirmish game and push it as far as I can. So let's go on to our bog standard warriors, and we'll give them 1 javelin each just for fun. So I do hope this video is actually quite informative to people. I wanted to just make a video about an abacus and how to use an abacus, but it was just dreadfully boring. I didn't even attempt to make it because every single idea I came up with was just awful. It was just awful. It was all dry and soulless, and it was all just sort of like, well, let's just add 2 arbitrary numbers together. It's like, no, I don't want to do that. That's not the person I am. I suppose I am a very theoretical person, but I'm not a very there's a part of me that's a big visual learner, and of course I dropped a miniature. There's a part of me that's a very visual learner, and there's heaps of people out there who are visual learners. So I thought that if maybe we made it a more visual exercise, and of course link it in with wargaming, because this is the historian wargamer, or another historian wargamer, or whatever I've called the channel now. Great marketing, don't even know the name of your own channel. So let's move the camera. As a brand new camera and microphone setup, by the way, I hope you like it. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 threes are 21, plus 1 is 22. 22 guys, we'll give them 1 javelin each. No, we're not going to give them 1 javelin each, Dylan, because if we give them 1 javelin each, they'll cost 10 points. So guess what? Each of these guys can have 2 javelins each, because they are lucky, lucky fellows. So we'll reset our Abacus. Now, 2 javelins each is 4 points. 4 and 8 is 12. See, we did that. Now we're actually going to get an interesting number when we multiply these two together. So 12 times 22. So let's do our mathematics. Of course, the tens column. We'll start with the tens column first. So 1 and 2 is, of course, 2. 1 and 2 then, of course, again is 2. So we can check our mathematics through. 22 times 10 is indeed 220. So now we start with the ones column now. So 2 and 2 is 4. So we'll pop those down and we'll pop those up. And 2 and 2 is, of course, 4. So now 4 plus 2 is 6. So we'll take 1 down, we'll put 1 up, and that gives us 264. A good way to always check your mathematics, this is just a common rule, but the ones column is your sort of control column almost. So you can take double check your last number, and if there's not 4 in here, that means you've gone wrong. So we have 260, because of course 5 and 1, 264. So let's take some heroes. Now I've got this hero here. Something you might notice about my miniatures is, number 1, I'm quite lazy, but number 2, I'm also quite practical, and they're all blonde. All my Britons are blonde, which means they can also be quite used as Germans, and it's not going to drive me insane, and of course Gauls as well. So just a side point. This is actually a German figure, but I'm still in the process of painting him up. This will be our second hero. Okay, so this is a German hero from Warlord Games. Comes in the German command pack. As you can see, the X is quite working. That's my X I use for my live stream painting on Twitch. So check me out on twitch.com alesso2590 if you want to see me paint some of these miniatures. This is a Warlord Games thing. The axe is my fault, not Warlord Games. It's had a lot of flash and I was a bit overzealous. So now it's like a little axe hammer thing, which is historically accurate. Anyway, let's go through the list. So the hero does not have a small shield, nor does he have a large shield. I'm going to say he has leather armor, purely because he's got sort of this cloak going on here, and he's got, I imagine there's some sort of padding underneath that tunic there. So we'll say he's got leather armor, just for interest. Not a helmet, no short spear, no dagger. We're going to give him an axe, so he's got an axe and a sword. And that's it. So he costs 45 points, so I'll put 4 there, and 1 there. Again, this is an addition. Oh, is that out of focus? Slightly. So 4 there, 1 there, an addition column. Leather armor is 5 denarii. So we'll go 5 denarii. Another addition column. A axe is 5 denarii. Oh no, don't be. Oh no, but you know, a sword is also 5 denarii. So 45. We'll just do it over here. So 45 plus 5 gives us 50, plus 5 gives us 55, plus 6 gives us, plus another 5 gives us 60, so 5 gives us 60 points for this hero. You can have like I believe you can actually take level 2 heroes and stuff like that, but this is just the starter warband, albeit a quite large one. So that's our hero with leather armor, an axe, and a sword. Pop him into one side. Now let's count up what we've got so far, and then see how many slingers we get to these guys, and see how many slingers the Romans get. So we start off with this will all be addition for the blank columns. We set this is actually quite handy. Get yourself a paintbrush to do this because it's very, very handy. So 56 is the cost of our first hero, plus 97. Here we go. Now we're getting some interesting numbers here. 9 and of course 1, 2, 7. This becomes quite intuitive. I've literally been doing this for an hour, and I've pretty much got the hang of it. Plus 253. This would probably actually be quite good for people with autism, especially for children with autism who haven't learned numbers yet, because you don't have to visualize abstract concepts. You can indeed learn, I mean not this, but simple like 2 plus 2. You literally go, okay, so I've got 2 and then 1, 2. You can actually visualize it. I've never seen any study about that. Literally never read anything about Abacus and autism, but just having used it for a little while, I imagine it would be extremely useful for someone who was trying to teach an autistic child just basic mathematics. yeah, that's a baseless claim that I just sort of threw around. But that'd be very interesting. I might actually have a look for some articles on that after this video. Anyway, and of course, 253 plus 254. 264. 264. So again, 2, 1, and 5 is 6, and 4, because of course the top column are 5. I really hope I'll explain that, because if I haven't, this whole video hasn't made any sense. So we have 56 plus 97. So 6 and 7 is 13. Carry the 1. See, we carry the 1, we just pop it up there. So that gives us that. Now we can tackle that. So the 1's columns first is very easy. 13. So we go 3, and then we just pop the 1 over there. It's really, really easy. Now we have 90. So in fact, we'll actually move along here. Again, this is not the actual proper way you're supposed to do it, but just muck around. So we have this here is our number now. 10th column and the 1's column. 9 plus 6 gives us, of course, 15. So 5, pop that down there, and pop that 1 there. So of course, 15. So we just pop the 1 down there and 1 up there, because of course from 6 to 15 is minus 1 plus 1. So adding 9 is actually very easy. When you add 9, all you have to do is pop 1 down, pop 1 up in the next column. Of course, if it was there, it would have had to be pop 1 down, pop 4 up, but that would have been 5. But so we end up with 153. Okay, so let's add 153 to 253. This, of course, being the cost of the horsemen. So this is our first one was our Skyclad warriors, our naked guys. Second was the hero. Now we're adding the horsemen. So our horsemen cost 253 added to 153. 3 and 3 is 6. Oh, pop that down. 3 and 3 is 6. So 3 down, 2 down, 1 up. 5 and 1 is 6. Now we have this 5 up here. We'll put him down, and then we just simply put him up there. That's all, and that'll give us a 0. And we carry the 1 over to that column. So that's all we're doing. Is just, if we ever run into stuff to do here, we just pop 1 up over here, because that indicates a plus 1. 2. We'll slide up 2. So that gives us 406. Now we're going to add 264. 200. Whoa, what am I doing? Whoa, I got snagged up on the cord. Sorry. 264. So the 4 first. 4 and 6 is 10. So we'll pop those both down. Pop that 1 up there, and take away the 0. So now we're at. Pop those up. Both up. Sorry. So now we're at 410, which is of course correct. Pop those down. Now 60 on here. So 6 on here. Sorry, let's ride the edge, and it's snagging on the cord. So we add 6 to 1. We go 1 up there and 1 up there, because we're just adding 5 and 1 is 6. And now we're adding 2 to here, so we simply go 3 down, 1 up, because 5 minus 3 is 2, so we have to move and 1 up. There's a final count of 670, because of course 2 up is 0. Okay, so all good so far. Now let's add the gentleman with the helmet. So we have, of course, why did I do that? Okay, 270. 670. Now we're going to add 160. 160. And 310. So 310. So we're going to add 160. First, so 0 is obviously going to leave that at 0. 6 is going to be 6 and 6 is 12. So whoop, 1 up there, and damn it, what am I doing? 12. So 6 and 7 is 13. Yep. So we went from 6 plus 6 and 7 was 13. I'm sorry, I'm losing track. So we know that's going to be 3. We can take that down there. So all we're worried about is the last number, and then we just simply add 1 over there. So now we're up to there, and 1, and there we just simply pop 1 up there. So now we're at 1, 2, 3, 5, 830. Of course, it's quicker to just do this in your head, but it's fun to do it with an abacus, and it's actually quite relaxing, and it gets the mind going a little, especially when you have to do it as many times as I do, because you keep getting it wrong. 0 again, uninteresting. 1, pop 1 up. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So here we go. So 3 and 3 is 6, so we'll pop 1 down. Oh, so of course 300 here, because these are our nobles. So 300 plus so 5, 6, 7, 8 is actually 1100. So we have to pop 1 up there, down, down. So we have 1140. Oh, we may get real close to our 1500 goal. So now we have our 2 javelin unarmed gentlemen, or 2 javelin guys who don't really have any special stuff. So we'll leave that as is. This now becomes our addition column. Oh, sorry, this remains our addition column. 264. So 4, and there we actually now have to change our ones column, plus 4. 60 here. So 6 and 4 is actually 0, so that becomes 0. And we pop a 1 up there. And then plus 2. Which gives us 1400. So 1404. Now we add 60 for our last hero. Of course, that's not going to do anything because it's a 0. And 6 here will give us 1464. That's pretty cool. That's pretty good. I'm very happy with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw in another hero, but this time I'm going to throw in a druid. Yeah, I know it's not a druid, but it's going to be my druid because he's sort of got a little staff there. Got a little axe. Yeah, he's druidish looking. He's more different than everyone else I've got, and he's got a little staff. I don't actually have a proper druid model because, again, the big skirmish games don't have druids in them. So let's point him up as a hero. I know he's going to take us over the points limit, but that doesn't matter. The reason I did the barbarians first is because they're the ones I have the least of points-wise. So Romans get very expensive. If you thought our nobles were expensive, you just wait until we start adding some Lorica segmentata into the mix. Wow. So this guy is going to be our druid. Druids are 75 denarii. 75. We'll give him a sword because he's got an axe. So we'll say that the axe is a sword. So that's another 5 denarii. So he's going to cost 80 denarii. So of course that stays the same. 8 onto the tens column here is 6. 8 and 6 is 14. So he takes us up to 1,544 points. So that gives us a goal for our Romans of 1544. So let's get the Romans out and see how they measure up.